To begin my meal, I started at the Old Town Scottsdale Farmers Market. My first purchase was some fresh pasta, in a shape that would best hold the sauce that I wanted to make. The vendor was nice enough to offer me some advice on how long to cook the pasta since it isn't fully dry when you buy it.
Thank you so much.
Then a stop for some fresh produce before I purchased a few more things at the grocery store that I couldn't find at the local market. Once I arrived home, I created my tablescape. To add to it, I folded napkins in a pyramid shape to add an element of height to the place settings. For my main course, I needed some basil, and luckily enough, we grow basil in my garden, so I only had to step out to the courtyard to pick some. My first course was an antipasto. I incorporated many of my favorite Italian antipasto components in my platter, including this prosciutto. This particular prosciutto carries the DOP label, which in English translates to Protected Designation of Origin. This prosciutto is made in Parma, according to traditional methods and guidelines, ensuring it is of the highest quality. The next component of my antipasto was this 3-pepper salami. It's flavored with Peking, ancho, and green chili peppers that are native to the Southwest, including Arizona. Next, I added some pickled artichoke hearts, one of my favorite pickled vegetables. These olives were another one of my farmers market finds. They're harvested and pickled locally by monks in a monastery here in Arizona. I opted not to use traditional bruschetta or focaccia bread because my family prefers these gluten-free seed crackers, but really any bread or crackers could have been substituted here. Though extremely unconventional, I used a vegan cheese substitute in my antipasto because everyone in my family has an allergy to dairy products, but a good Parmesan, fresh mozzarella, or gorgonzola is usually used in an antipasto. And there you have it, a complete antipasto ready to serve. I was lucky enough to have my whole family join me for dinner tonight, so my mom and dad and 2 sisters got to share this special meal with me. next dish I prepared was my main dish, a basil pesto with gilli pasta. This pesto recipe is the one my family has used as long as I can remember, and was actually featured as my family's signature dish in my 4th grade class's cookbook. It's simple and requires only a few ingredients. First, you need 1 cup of basil. And maybe a few more leaves for good measure. Next, I added 5 tablespoons of Parmigiano Reggiano. This Parmesan is also DOP certified, and this recipe technically calls for 3 tablespoons Parmesan and 2 tablespoons Romano cheese, but I used what I had on hand. This recipe doesn't give a directive for exactly how much salt to use, I just do it to taste. Then the recipe calls for 1/2 cup pine nuts. I prefer mine with walnuts, so that's what I used here. The flavor ends up just slightly different. Last step, you add olive oil while the food processor runs until the mixture forms a thin paste. This oil is also DOP. It's funny how many DOP foods my family already bought on a regular basis without even understanding what the certification meant. We've always valued quality, and that's exactly what the DOP seal of approval ensures. The vendor at the farmer's market told me that once added to the boiling water, the pasta only needed to cook for 4 minutes until it would be al dente. I followed her directions, and it turned out perfectly. My third and final course was an escarole, sausage, and white bean ragu. This is exactly the type of dish my Italian grandmother would make. It's an easy one-pot meal that I will definitely be making again soon. The escarole was so fresh, and it paired well with the earthy pesto from the previous dish. The Italian sausage I used for this recipe came in a casing, so I removed the casing because I wanted to cook the sausage meat down evenly for my ragu. I cooked the 1 1/3 pound of sausage down in an iron Dutch oven, which is what my grandma used to use to cook her soups. At the beginning of each week, she'd make a soup and add the leftovers each night until at the end of the week she had a completely different and very delicious stew that was so rich in flavor. After adding 2 cans of white beans and 4 cups of escarole, along with some salt and pepper, all simmered down in chicken broth for 20 minutes, the ragu was ready to serve. thing about this tablescape is that it was made completely from things I had in my home or could find in my yard. The olive branches were cut off a tree in the front yard, the roses came from the courtyard, and the persimmons were in the kitchen. Add a couple iron candelabras and you've got a perfect rustic tablescape to go with a wonderful Italian meal.
There was no free. You want more?
Well, I have just a little bit left.
What is that?
Root beer.
Beer foam.
No, root beer flows.
Oh, okay.
Planning, preparing, and enjoying this meal with my family was such an amazing experience. It is rare that we all get to sit down together for a formal family meal since we all have such busy schedules these days. So taking this time to enjoy each other's company was much needed. We were able to have so much fun, laugh a lot, and create a really beautiful meal together. And these are memories I will always cherish. Learning about Italian food has helped me connect with my culture and even learn a little more about myself. I never considered that the way my family views food, the importance that was placed on sitting down at the table together, and the dietary patterns we maintained were in large part due to our cultural roots. But now that I understand, I hope to embrace these patterns further in my own life in the years to come. I couldn't be more grateful for this class and all I have learned.
That's important.
Until next time, ciao.